been working on right now. Something you've been wanting to achieve or try, but you're just not there yet. You got it? Now here's the question. Do you believe, like really believe, that God can help you reach that goal? Well, it probably depends on what that goal is, right? But we're continuing to follow Nehemiah on his journey to achieve a big goal. And once Nehemiah arrived in Jerusalem, he got to work. He convinced a ton of people living in Jerusalem to work together and repair the city walls. In Nehemiah 3, there's a list of people involved in the build and how they contributed. And you may be thinking, well, that's boring, all these little details of who and who did what. But here's the incredible thing that we see in these details. There were so many people involved. This wasn't a project that Nehemiah could have done on his own. This was a team effort. In Nehemiah 4, 1-3, it says this: Sanballat was very angry when he learned that we were rebuilding the wall. He flew into a rage and mocked the Jews, saying in front of his friends and the Samaritan army officers, "What does this bunch of poor, feeble Jews think they're doing? Do they think they can build the wall in a single day by offering a few sacrifices? Do they actually think they can make something of stones from a rubbish heap, and charred ones at that?" Tobiah the Ammonite, who was standing beside him, remarked, "That stone wall would collapse even if a fox walked along the top of it." Now let's talk about bullies for a second. These guys, the bullies, they called them weak. They mocked the quality of their work. They mocked their pain. They mocked their beliefs. They tried to crush their hope. But even though Nehemiah and his team, they were being obedient to God, they still had to deal with haters. Nehemiah responded, but probably not the way you and I would respond if we were him. He didn't get distracted. He didn't fight with these guys. He didn't even add to their drama. He didn't even respond. Nehemiah took it to God. He asked God to hear his prayers and to make it right, and he wasn't afraid to be honest with God about what he was feeling. He wanted those guys to be punished. Now Nehemiah kept going. He and his team kept building. No matter what those guys had to say, they rebuilt the wall to half of its original height, and everyone poured their hearts into it. That's amazing. Now the rest of Nehemiah, we read that the people were tired and the enemies were making plans to attack. But Nehemiah, he had a plan too. And here's what he did. Nehemiah took it to God. Again, he'd been in constant communication with God since the very beginning, and this moment was no different. Nehemiah prioritized rest. He knew he and his team needed rest if they were going to have the strength to keep going and finish the wall. And so he found a way for them to take shifts, to work shifts. Nehemiah chose community. Nehemiah's team committed to protecting and supporting each other for as long as their opposition lasted. And lastly, Nehemiah kept going. The job was a little more difficult than it had been in the beginning, but Nehemiah never stopped. He kept moving forward, adjusting his plan and getting creative in order to continue the work. Now I wish I could tell you that Nehemiah's opposition ended there, but it didn't. He faced obstacles, even more obstacles in chapters 5 and 6, both from his enemies and from fellow Jewish people. And at one point, Nehemiah received a series of terrifying letters and death threats. These men did not want Nehemiah to finish the wall. But watch how Nehemiah reacts. I love how it's written in Nehemiah 6:9 and how the Message says it. They were trying to intimidate us into quitting. They thought they'll give up. They'll never finish. But I prayed, give me strength. Give me strength. Nehemiah prayed, give me strength. He could have asked God for anything, but he simply asked for strength to finish the work. So as we work towards our goals, here's what we can take from Nehemiah. We can pray. We surround ourselves with people who will encourage us and help us. And we keep moving forward because, as it says in 2 Timothy, God has not given us a spirit of fear and timidity, but of power, love, and self-discipline.